She was sold for debt, until the Alpha King discovered she was his Moonborn queen. The Alpha King's secret. I never believed in fate until the night I died. Well, almost died. The blade was already at my throat when I realized my mistake. The man I'd been tracking through the rain-soaked streets of New Orleans wasn't my target at all. He was something far more dangerous. His eyes glowed amber in the darkness, and when he smiled, I saw fangs that shouldn't exist outside of nightmares. "You picked the wrong mark, little huntress," he whispered. "My name is Sarah Blackwood, and 24 hours ago, I was just another struggling art student trying to make rent." Now I was staring at proof that werewolves were real, and I'd just tried to rob one. Let me back up. The desperate plan. 3 days earlier, I'd received an eviction notice. 48 hours to pay 6 months of back rent or lose the only home I'd known since my parents died. The art gallery where I worked part-time had cut my hours. My scholarship barely covered tuition. I was drowning, and nobody was throwing me a lifeline. That's when my roommate Jessie mentioned the French Quarter job. "It's easy money," she'd said, painting her nails blood red on our worn couch. "Rich tourists carry cash. Just bump into them, lift their wallet, return it missing the bills. They never even realize until you're gone." I should have known better. I did know better. But desperation makes you stupid. The target was supposed to be a drunk businessman stumbling out of a jazz club. Instead, I'd followed a man who moved like liquid shadow, who led me away from the crowds into the labyrinth of back alleys where the old magic of New Orleans still lingered. And now I was going to die for my stupidity. The impossible offer. "Please," I gasped, my fingers clawing at his iron grip. "I'm sorry. I'll give everything back. I just needed." "Needed what?" His voice was like whiskey and smoke. "Money? Everyone needs money, thief. That's no excuse for targeting an alpha." An alpha. The word should have meant nothing to me. Instead, something deep in my chest responded to it, a flutter of recognition that made no sense. He released my throat suddenly, and I collapsed to the wet cobblestones, gasping. Rain poured down, soaking through my cheap jacket. I looked up at him properly for the first time. He was beautiful in the way hurricanes are beautiful, devastating and impossible to look away from. Tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair that fell across sharp cheekbones. He wore an expensive suit that probably cost more than my entire year's rent, and he studied me with the intensity of a predator deciding whether to kill or keep its prey. "You have spirit," he said, crouching down to my level. "And you're desperate. I can smell it on you, the fear, the shame, the absolute terror of losing everything." "What are you?" I whispered. His smile was sharp. "The answer to your prayers. Or your damnation. I haven't decided which yet." He pulled out a card, black, with silver lettering that seemed to shimmer in the streetlight. Just a name and an address. Dominic Ashford. The Crescent. "I have a proposition," he said. "Come to this address tomorrow at midnight. Alone. If you're brave enough to face what I'm offering, you might just save yourself. If not..." He shrugged. "Well, you'll lose your apartment anyway. At least this way, you have a choice." Before I could respond, he was gone. Not walking away, gone. Like he'd dissolved into the shadows themselves. I sat in that alley for 10 minutes, rain washing away the feeling of his hand on my throat, wondering if I'd imagined the whole thing. The card in my palm said otherwise. The Crescent. The address led to the Garden District, old money, older secrets. The mansion stood behind iron gates that looked like they'd been forged in the 19th century. Gothic architecture reached toward the stormy sky, all sharp angles and brooding elegance. I almost turned back 17 times. But the eviction notice was in my backpack, and I had 36 hours left. The gates swung open before I could knock. No visible mechanism, no attendant. Just smooth, silent invitation into a world I didn't belong in. The front door was worse. Massive, dark wood carved with symbols I didn't recognize, but that made my skin prickle. It opened as I approached, revealing a foyer that belonged in a museum. Miss Blackwood. His voice came from everywhere and nowhere. Punctual. I appreciate that. Dominic Ashford descended a curved staircase, and I realized the alley lighting had done him no justice. He was stunning, and terrifying. Power radiated from him like heat from a furnace. What do you want from me? My voice sounded steadier than I felt. Direct. Also appreciated. He gestured toward a sitting room off the foyer. Please. The room was all dark leather and burgundy velvet, with a fireplace that crackled despite the summer heat outside. He poured 2 glasses of something amber from a crystal decanter. I don't drink, I said. It's not alcohol. Just tea. Though I suspect you could use something stronger. He sat across from me, crossing his legs with casual grace. I'm going to tell you something impossible, Miss Blackwood. And you're going to believe me because somewhere deep inside, you already know it's true. My heart hammered. I'm listening. Werewolves are real. I am the Alpha King of the Southern Territory, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and parts of Texas. I rule over 17 packs, containing approximately 3,000 wolves. He said it like he was discussing the weather. And you, Sarah Blackwood, are about to become my wife. I stood up so fast the untouched tea sloshed onto my jeans. You're insane. Sit down. The command in his voice physically pushed me back into the chair. Not his hands, his voice. The authority in it bypassed my brain and went straight to my muscles. What the hell? Alpha command, he explained calmly. One of several abilities you'll need to understand if you agree to my proposal. Why would I agree to marry a crazy person who thinks he's a werewolf king? His eyes flashed gold, actual metallic gold, and his features shifted subtly. Not fully transforming, but enough. The bridge of his nose elongated slightly. His teeth sharpened. Claws extended from his fingertips. I couldn't breathe. He shifted back, human again, watching my reaction. I need a wife to solidify my claim to the throne. There are challenges to my authority. Old bloodlines who think themselves more worthy. A mate, especially a human mate who can learn our ways, sends a message about unity and strength. You want a political marriage. My voice was barely a whisper. I want a queen who understands what real desperation looks like. Someone who's fought for survival without the advantages of pack or power. He leaned forward. In exchange, I'll pay your debts, fund your education, and give you more money than you could spend in 3 lifetimes. You'll live in luxury, wanting for nothing. Except freedom. His smile was cold. Freedom is overrated when you're starving. The impossible choice. I should have run. Every instinct screamed at me to run. But he was right about the desperation. I could feel the eviction notice burning in my backpack. Could see my future unfolding, homeless, dropping out, spiral into darkness. What exactly would this marriage entail? I asked. You would live here. Learn our customs. Appear at my side for political functions. Play the devoted mate. His expression was unreadable. The marriage would be real in every legal sense. Including consummation. Heat flooded my face. You can't just buy a wife. I'm not buying you, Miss Blackwood. I'm offering you a transaction. Your time and companionship for security and wealth. People make worse bargains every day. How long? 5 years. After that, if you wish to leave, we'll arrange a quiet divorce. You'll keep a settlement substantial enough to live comfortably for the rest of your life. 5 years. It sounded like forever. It sounded like prison. It sounded like salvation. I need to think. You have until dawn, he interrupted. After that, the offer expires and you're on your own. I have other candidates who'd jump at this opportunity. The dismissal stung more than it should have. He stood, towering over me. I'll have a car take you home. When you're ready to decide, there's a phone in your apartment, top drawer of your nightstand. Don't bother asking how I know. Just know that I do. The discovery. The phone was exactly where he said it would be. I sat on my bed, staring at it for hours. Outside, the French Quarter was alive with music and laughter. Inside, I was dying slowly from impossible choices. That's when I found the box. It was under my bed, shoved far back behind old art supplies. I didn't recognize it. The wood was ancient, carved with the same symbols I'd seen on Dominic's front door. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a photograph, old, sepia-toned. A woman who looked exactly like me stood beside a man in old-fashioned clothes. Behind them, a mansion I recognized. The Crescent. I flipped the photo over. Written in faded ink, Charlotte Blackwood and Alpha King Marcus Ashford, 1893. My great-great-grandmother. She'd worn the same ring that was nestled in the box, silver, with a crescent moon and wolf design. And beneath the ring, a letter in my grandmother's handwriting: "If you're reading this, he's found you. The curse is real. The debt must be paid. Whatever he asks, Sarah, agree. Our family's survival depends on it. Love always, Grandma Rose." The phone rang. Dominic's voice was silken steel. "Have you made your decision, Miss Blackwood? Or should I tell you about the curse that's been hunting your bloodline for 130 years? My grandmother's words echoed in my mind. The photograph burned in my hand. Outside, lightning cracked the sky open. "I'm listening," I whispered. And somewhere in the darkness, something ancient and hungry began to wake. Welcome to Crownfire Tales. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The curse awakens. The phone felt like ice in my trembling hand. "Meet me at the North Cemetery," Dominic's voice commanded through the speaker. "Midnight. Come alone, and bring the box you just found." He knew. Of course he knew. The line went dead before I could respond, leaving me staring at my great-great-grandmother's photograph. Charlotte Blackwood's eyes seemed to bore into mine, carrying a warning across a century of silence. The cemetery revelation. The St. Louis Cemetery No. 3 was a city of the dead, white marble tombs rising like miniature houses in the moonlight. I clutched the wooden box to my chest, every shadow seeming to pulse with unseen threats. Dominic stood beside a massive crypt, his silhouette carved from darkness itself. He wasn't alone. A woman stood beside him, elderly, with silver hair and eyes that glowed with the same amber fire as his. "This is Grandmother Celeste," Dominic said. "The pack historian. She's going to tell you what your family forgot." The old woman's gaze pinned me like a butterfly to a board. Charlotte Blackwood was supposed to marry my grandson's great-great-grandfather, Marcus Ashford. It was arranged, a binding between our strongest bloodlines. But she ran, I whispered, already knowing the answer. She fled 3 days before the wedding. Married a human, thinking she could escape her destiny. Celeste's voice was cold. "But you cannot break a blood oath, child. The magic demanded payment." Dominic took the box from my hands, opening it with reverence. The ring inside began to glow, a soft, eerie silver light that made the air shimmer. "Every generation since Charlotte, one Blackwood daughter has died before her 25th birthday," he said quietly. "Your mother. Your aunt. Your cousin last year. All dead within weeks of turning 24. The world tilted. My mother's car accident. The one that orphaned me at 16. The one the police said was impossible, perfect weather, straight road, brand new brakes. She'd died 3 weeks after her 24th birthday. No," I breathed. "You turn 25 in 6 weeks, Sarah." Dominic's expression was unreadable. "The curse will come for you. Unless you fulfill the original oath. The binding ritual." "So this isn't about politics," I said, anger replacing shock. "You need me to break a curse." I need you to survive, Dominic corrected. And yes, binding you to me, completing what Charlotte and Marcus should have done, will satisfy the blood oath and protect both our lines. What happens if I refuse? Celeste's laugh was bitter. You die, child. Horribly. The curse doesn't kill quickly. It feeds on your life force, day by day, until there's nothing left but a hollow shell. I thought of my mother's last days. How she'd withered, how the doctors couldn't explain it. How she'd held my hand and whispered, "I'm sorry," over and over. The marriage, I said slowly. It has to be real. Consummated. Bound by magic and blood. Dominic nodded once. And after 5 years? The curse will be broken permanently. You'll be free. His jaw tightened. If you still want to leave. The way he said it made something flutter in my chest, something dangerous. Show me, I demanded. Show me the curse. Prove this isn't just an elaborate con. Dominic and Celeste exchanged glances. Then he held out his hand. Come. The horror beneath. He led me into the crypt, down stone stairs that shouldn't exist, into catacombs that stretched beneath the cemetery. The air grew cold, thick with old magic that made my skin crawl. In a chamber lined with bones, Celeste lit 13 black candles. Their flames burned blue. Give me your hand, Dominic commanded. When I hesitated, he added softly, I won't hurt you, Sarah. I need you alive. His hand was warm, calloused. He produced a silver dagger, ceremonial, etched with runes, and made a small cut across my palm. I hissed, but he held firm, letting 3 drops of blood fall onto a copper bowl. The blood began to move. Not flowing, crawling. Like something alive was swimming through it. Then it started to smoke, and in the smoke, images formed. I saw myself. Older. Withering in a hospital bed while machines beeped uselessly. My skin gray, my eyes hollow. Dying the same way my mother had died. 6 weeks, Celeste intoned. That's all you have. The vision shattered. I stumbled back, but Dominic caught me, his arms surprisingly gentle. I'm sorry, he murmured against my hair. I'm sorry it has to be this way. For a moment, we stood there in the darkness, and I felt his heartbeat against my back, steady, strong, alive. So impossibly alive. If I agree, I whispered, what happens tonight? The wedding night. The ceremony was immediate. Ancient. Nothing like the white dress fantasies I'd had as a little girl. We stood in that bone-lined chamber while Celeste chanted in a language that predated English. She bound our hands together with silver cord that burned where it touched my skin. Dominic's expression was carved from stone, but his hand trembled slightly in mine. Do you, Sarah Catherine Blackwood, accept this bond? Do you willingly tie your fate to Dominic Ashford, Alpha King, for 5 years or until death parts you? I looked into his amber eyes. Saw something there besides cold calculation, a flicker of, what? Regret? Hope? I do. Do you, Dominic James Ashford, accept this bond? Do you swear to protect, provide for, and honor Sarah Blackwood as your mate and queen? I do. His voice resonated through the chamber. The silver cord flared brilliant white, then dissolved into our skin like absorbing light. I gasped as power flooded through me, his power, our power, something vast and terrifying. The bond is sealed, Celeste announced. What the magic has joined, let no force tear asunder. Then she left, taking the candles with her, leaving us in darkness broken only by moonlight filtering through cracks in the ancient stone. We should go back to the mansion, Dominic said, his voice rougher than before. You said the marriage has to be consummated. I don't know where the boldness came from. To break the curse. He went very still. Sarah. I'm not a virgin, if that's what you're worried about. My cheeks burned, but I forced the words out. And I'd rather get this over with than spend 6 weeks wondering if the curse will still kill me because we waited. This isn't how I wanted, he stopped himself. You deserve better than a crypt for your wedding night. I deserve to live, I countered. Everything else is negotiable. The claiming. Dominic pulled me to him suddenly, his mouth crashing down on mine. The kiss was nothing gentle, nothing practiced. It was desperate, claiming, a collision of fear and need and something darker that made my knees weak. His hands fisted in my hair. Mine clawed at his shoulders. The magical bond between us sang, growing stronger with every touch, every gasp. Last chance to change your mind, he growled against my throat. Instead of answering, I pulled him down to the stone floor. The consummation wasn't romantic. It was primal, fierce, two people fighting death with the oldest magic humanity possessed. His body covered mine, powerful and demanding. I met him with equal intensity, feeling the curse shatter around us like breaking glass. When it was over, we lay tangled together on his discarded coat, breathing hard. The bond between us glowed like a living thing beneath our skin. I can feel you, I whispered. Your emotions. Your everything. That's the mate bond, Dominic said quietly. It goes both ways. Which meant he could feel my confusion, my fear, and worse, the unwanted desire that had nothing to do with curses and everything to do with the way he'd looked at me like I mattered. The terrible truth. We dressed in silence. But as we climbed back toward the surface, Dominic's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his entire body went rigid. What? I asked. His expression when he looked at me was devastated. There's something I need to tell you. Something I should have mentioned before. A howl split the night. Not one wolf. Dozens. They know, Dominic breathed. The other alphas. They know I've completed the bond. Isn't that what you wanted? Sarah. He gripped my shoulders. The binding broke your curse. But it started something worse. My enemies won't just challenge my throne now. What will they do? His eyes burned with protective fury. They'll try to kill you to break me. And the most dangerous one, the alpha who wants my crown more than anything, is the man who killed your mother to try to stop this exact moment from happening. The ground seemed to drop away beneath my feet. My mother didn't die in an accident, I whispered. No, Dominic confirmed grimly. She was murdered. By my brother. The ultimate power and revenge. The brother's betrayal. The mansion was under siege before we reached it. Dominic's driver took corners at impossible speeds while I gripped the leather seat, my mind reeling from his revelation. His brother had killed my mother. The words didn't make sense, couldn't make sense, yet the bond between us confirmed every horrifying truth. Lucas, Dominic said, his voice barely controlled rage. My half-brother. Same father, different mothers. He's been trying to prove I'm unfit to rule for the last decade. By murdering innocent women? My voice cracked. By stopping the prophecy. He turned to me, and I saw fear, real, visceral fear, in his eyes for the first time. The blood oath wasn't just a curse, Sarah. It was a protection spell. When Charlotte ran, she inadvertently created a magical lock. Only a Blackwood-Ashford union could unlock the full power of the Alpha King bloodline. Without you, I'm strong. With you? The car exploded. Not our car, the one behind us. The SUV carrying Dominic's guards erupted in flames, flipping end over end. Our driver swerved, tires screaming, as wolves poured from the shadows on both sides of the road. Hold on. Dominic roared. But they were already on us. A massive gray wolf slammed into the driver's side door, claws shredding metal like paper. The driver's scream cut short as jaws closed around his throat. Dominic kicked out his door, shifting mid-leap. His transformation was instantaneous, bones cracking and reforming, muscles rippling beneath midnight black fur. He was enormous, easily twice the size of a normal wolf, his eyes blazing gold. I scrambled into the driver's seat, slamming my foot on the gas. The car lurched forward, but 3 wolves blocked the road ahead. I cranked the wheel hard, mounting the sidewalk, clipping a mailbox. In the rearview mirror, I watched Dominic fight. He moved like liquid death, jaws snapping, claws tearing. 5 wolves surrounded him, but he was stronger, faster. He caught one by the throat and threw it into a brick wall with bone-crushing force. Then I saw him, the wolf who had to be Lucas. He was pure white, beautiful and terrible, larger even than Dominic. He stalked toward my mate with calculated precision, and I felt Dominic's spike of fear through our bond. "He's stronger," Dominic's voice whispered in my mind, using the mate connection. "Without the full bonding ritual, I can't." I slammed on the brakes. The power unleashed. I don't know what possessed me. Maybe it was the bond. Maybe it was rage for my mother. Maybe it was something deeper, something that had always been sleeping in my blood, waiting for this exact moment. I threw open the car door and screamed, "Lucas!" The white wolf's head snapped toward me. His eyes were ice blue, cold and calculating. He smiled, actually smiled, showing fangs stained with blood. Then he charged. Dominic's roar of anguish shook the street. He lunged to intercept, but 2 wolves dragged him down. I should have been terrified. Should have run. Instead, I felt the ring, Charlotte's ring, now on my finger, burn like a brand. The world exploded into silver light. Power erupted from somewhere deep inside me, a tidal wave of ancient magic that I didn't understand but recognized in my bones. The light formed a barrier between me and Lucas, and when he hit it, he was thrown back 50 feet into a parked car. Every wolf on the street froze. The light coalesced around me, forming shapes, spectral wolves made of pure silver energy. They circled me protectively, snarling at the attackers. "Impossible," someone whispered. A human voice, ragged with shock. I looked up. A man stood on a nearby rooftop, handsome, with white blonde hair and those same ice blue eyes. Lucas in human form, naked and bleeding from the impact. "She's awakened," he said, and for the first time I heard fear in his voice. "The Blackwood legacy." "Brother, you didn't tell me she was a Moonborn." "I didn't know," Dominic said. He'd shifted back to human form, covered in blood and wounds that were already healing. He stared at me with awe and something that looked like reverence. The bloodline was supposed to be extinct. "What's a Moonborn?" I demanded. The spectral wolves paced around me, responding to my emotions. Lucas laughed, a bitter sound. "You really didn't tell her anything, did you?" A Moonborn is a human with dormant wolf magic, the original witches who created our kind 3,000 years ago. They're myth. Legend. And they have the power to make or break an alpha king. He leaped from the rooftop, landing with predatory grace despite his injuries. "Which means, little queen, you're far too dangerous to let live." The convergence. What happened next occurred in heartbeats. Lucas shifted, charging again. But this time, Dominic was ready. My mate's transformation was accompanied by something new, silver light, my light, wrapping around his black fur like armor. The 2 brothers collided with the force of a car crash. They were perfectly matched now, power for power, speed for speed. They tore into each other with savage intensity, blood spraying across the pavement. "Help him," a voice whispered in my mind. Not Dominic's voice. Something older, feminine. "You are the weapon. He is the warrior. Together, you are unstoppable." I didn't question it. Couldn't question it. I closed my eyes and reached through the bond. I felt Dominic's pain, 3 broken ribs, a gash across his shoulder, exhaustion from fighting while protecting me. I felt his determination, his fear of losing me, his love. Love. The emotion hit me like lightning. He loved me. Not the political arrangement, not the curse-breaking necessity. Somewhere between the alley and the altar, between the blood oath and this moment, Dominic Ashford had fallen in love with me. And I realized, with devastating clarity, that I loved him back. The silver light exploded outward. The final battle. The magic poured through me into Dominic, amplifying everything he was. His wounds healed instantly. His size doubled. The silver armor became solid, unbreakable. When he hit Lucas this time, the white wolf flew through the air and crashed through the windshield of an abandoned building. Dominic stood over his brother, jaws at his throat, one killing bite away from ending this. The other wolves, Lucas's followers, had fled or surrendered, lying belly up on the street in submission. Don't kill him, I thought through the bond. Dominic's surprise rippled back to me. He murdered your mother. He tried to murder you. And if you kill him, you become what they say you are, a tyrant who murders family for power. Show mercy. Show strength. For an agonizing moment, Dominic didn't move. Then slowly, he released Lucas and stepped back, shifting to human form. You're banished, Dominic declared, his voice carrying alpha command that forced every wolf within hearing to their knees. You and your followers. Leave the Southern Territory. If you ever return, mercy dies with you. Lucas shifted back, clutching his throat. Blood leaked between his fingers, but his eyes burned with hatred. This isn't over, brother. The council won't accept a Moonborn queen. They'll come for her themselves. Let them try, I said, stepping forward. The silver light still danced around my fingertips. I've been powerless my whole life. Bullied, used, sold like property. I'm done being weak. I looked at Lucas with every ounce of rage for my mother, for myself, for every woman who'd been told she didn't matter. Tell your council that the queen is coming. And she's not asking for permission anymore. 6 weeks later. The coronation was everything I'd never dreamed of and nothing I'd expected. I stood beside Dominic in the grand hall of the Crescent, wearing a gown of silver and midnight blue. The ring on my finger glowed softly, responding to the collective energy of 3,000 wolves who'd gathered to witness history. Do you, Sarah Catherine Blackwood Ashford, accept the crown and responsibility of Queen of the Southern Territory? I looked out at the sea of faces. Some skeptical. Some afraid. Some, like Celeste, beaming with pride. I do, I said firmly. The crown settled on my head, warm and surprisingly light. The bond between Dominic and me flared brilliant silver, visible to everyone in the room. All hail the Moonborn Queen, the crowd chanted. All hail the King and Queen of the South. That night, alone in our chambers, Dominic pulled me close. Regrets? I thought about the scared girl in the alley. The desperate student facing eviction. The orphan who'd thought she was worthless. Not even one, I whispered. You saved me. No, love. He kissed me softly. You saved us both. Outside, the moon rose full and bright. Somewhere in the darkness, Lucas watched and plotted. The council was gathering, preparing challenges we hadn't yet imagined. But for this moment, wrapped in my mate's arms, I was exactly where I belonged. The curse was broken. The queen had risen. And the real battle for power was only just beginning.